Today we're going to talk about a new tool that's in Photoshop CS5 that really is a godsend when you're trying to mask something that's on a similar layer or a similar background. So I have a blonde woman here who's on a yellow background, so she really kind of blends in, and plus the really short focal depth, or the depth of field, uh, makes it that her hair is really blurry, so it really melds into the background. So we're going to use the refine edge tool here. So what we're going to do to start with is duplicate our current layer. I always just do that by habit. I do Option Command J, and we'll call it masked woman. And then I can actually hide the background one. So I always start that way, even if it's not necessary. This might create a new layer on its own, this process, but I do this anyways. So I'm going to hit L on the keyboard to grab my lasso tool. Make sure that it's not feathered up here. And then I'm just going to do a really quick selection. So this is really messy. Whoops, I dropped it. I'm going to start that over. Command D. And I'm going to just do this really quickly. I'll try and kind of go around the perimeter of her relatively accurately. Here it's a nice hard edge, so I'm just going to go along. Whoops, my mouse just moved. That doesn't matter. So I'm going to go along like this, go around the outside and come back to the start and drop the mouse. So now when we add our mask, the background goes away. You can see the mask here. If I option click on it, it shows us our actual mask. So I'm going to click back off it. And now, so I click on the mask once and I do Option Command R. So it's refine mask. Option Command R right here. And the refine mask dialog comes up. So now what I'm going to do, I don't like this preview. I want to see it against transparency. So what I'm going to do is just click on layers here. So this doesn't change anything in our file. It's just the preview of it. So now this is really, really cool. I'm going to do spacebar just to move it over. And then I'm going to zoom into her hair. So you see that's Command space. When I drag to the right, it zooms in. Drag to the left, it zooms out. And then I'm going to focus on this tool. It's the brush here. And then this radius is probably good. It's a 50 pixel radius. I can make it bigger up on the top of my screen here, or else I can use the square brackets on the keyboard. It goes up and down by 10 pixels. So let's make this 50 pixels. And I'm just going to paint where her hair ends. So I just do little bits like this and I drop it, and look at that. I'm going to move along and we're going to paint out a bit more. Okay, so we're telling it where her hair ends and where the background starts. So see, I paint like this, so it understands, it actually detects it. So this is doing a pretty crazy job for me here. It's not perfect. I may have to clean up my mask after, but this is not bad. Now what I'm getting is the halo effect. The colors are contaminated because the background was so much brighter, so much more saturated than her hair. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'll stop here. And all I'm going to do is turn on decontaminate colors here and see how it neutralizes them. And I can strengthen or weaken that if I think the effect is too strong or not strong enough. So here I'm about 56. So I can keep on moving along and dragging along here. And notice that I do little bits at a time. If you go from a surface like this, like it actually just happened, I painted on her hair and then I touched her leather jacket. And then Photoshop thinks that the black should be blended in here. So I'm actually going to undo a bit and go right down to the leather jacket here so that I can kind of tell it what's going on. So I paint like that and drop it. And that did a so-so job. So what I'm going to do is click on the brush and hold and choose Erase Refinements. So I'm going to paint in her jacket here and it actually puts it back. So it's not a perfect job. See, I'm going back and forth here. What I'm going to have to do, since this is a fairly hard edge to start with, is probably clean this up on the mask afterwards. Let's go and try on her face here. So I'm back to my normal tool, Refine Radius tool, and I paint her chin. And look at that. It did a pretty darn good job. Okay, so every time you do it, it learns more. When you brush again and again, it learns what the edge is supposed to be. Okay, so again, you may have to clean up a little bit after on your mask, but it does a pretty darn good job to get you going. Okay, so let's zoom out and watch what's going to happen here. I have output to new layer with mask. So this isn't even going to touch our original. Okay, so you can mess with these settings a bit more. They're fairly obvious by their names. Shift Edge is super useful. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here and see it generated a new layer with a new mask on it. And if I option click on that mask, look at the job it did here. So what I would probably do at this point, don't get away from me here, is just hit B on the keyboard to get brush, and then use my regular brush tool, make it really big and really soft, and just paint in a little bit here with a really soft brush to get this a bit more solid, because our head isn't actually transparent here. And I just clean up the mask a little bit. See, we have some cleaning up to do here too. So I'm going to paint with black and just clean up. I right click to grab a harder brush, just clean up the edge here a little bit. So the refine edge tool or refine mask is a starting point, and then you clean up your mask and you can get a really good result.